I would just like to ask all of you as members of the press to please read this report and share it with America. You have such a wonderful gift, the freedom of press, and Americans need to know. Whatever your political bias is, I ask you to please overlook it. That's what journalists are supposed to do. And share this information, because I think it's our duty in this time to share the truth. Just as I've put in here about the jail, and Congressman Gohmert put in this report about the jail, share it and please help people understand what's happening, and let's all work together to take a responsibility to not allow this to happen anymore in our country. We've got to do a better job, and I really want all of us to be part of it. As members of Congress, we're calling on our colleagues to step up, and we have to bring this to an end. We need a good justice system, not one that persecutes people. And as members of the press, I ask you to tell the truth and report it. It's your responsibility to do so. And now we'll open the floor for questions.
Congressman Green, thank you for taking my question. Something that you mentioned during this press conference was the Black Lives Matter movement. And something that the proponents of Black Lives Matter talk about often is the criminal justice system, issues of mass incarceration, and so forth. And so I'm wondering, to what extent have your experiences touring this DC jail and seeing what conditions are like inside prisons, to what extent has that made you reflect on the criminal justice system writ large in this country and the potential for reform that people who are opposite you on the political spectrum often call for?
Well, looking in the jail, we put the full tour in there. So there's a lot of detail about every single part of the jail. Now, here's what I can say about criminal justice reform. I do not think it's good for anyone in prison to have to read Nation of Islam newspapers and that be one of the only publications they have, or information or curriculum that informs them because of the color of their skin. This is why they're being treated this way. I don't think that is good to rehabilitate anyone. I think in prisons and jail we should rehabilitate people, and that has to do with job skills, education, and building character, so that when they leave there, they're able to have a really good second chance. And those are the things I believe in and I would like to work on. As far as the difference in the jail, though, it's very clear. The January 6th defendants, they were not allowed to participate in any of the continuing education curriculums that we were shown that other inmates and other pretrial defendants are allowed to participate in. The January 6th defendants are not allowed to participate in job training like the other inmates and defendants are allowed to participate in. The January 6th defendants are not allowed to participate in mock trials, that there was a third-year law school student there helping other inmates learn how to handle the courtroom and what to do. None of those things were offered for the January 6th defendants. They were isolated in a separate wing of the jail where they are abused, where they are ridiculed, where they are mocked because of their political beliefs and because of January 6th and because of the color of their skin. So there is a two-tier justice system, and these are the things that need to end. I believe in criminal justice reform, but I believe it should be reform that's fair completely across political lines and skin color. And I can tell you what we saw in the D.C. jail, none of that exists. Yes, ma'am.
So Democrats are poised to use January 6th throughout the midterms on their messaging points. Is this an issue you think Republicans can mobilize around for next year as well?
I think that every Republican voter, and I think many Americans, independents and Democrats that I've spoken to and have asked me questions, they care about January 6th because they see the clear hypocrisy. You see, here's the problem with a lot of political consultants and people running for office. They forget that people aren't stupid. As a matter of fact, American people are really smart. And they're able to see when they're being lied to, such as when there's big political biases in the press. They're able to see when on a campaign ad on the television that, oh, yeah, you want to show me the riot at the Capitol over and over again? Well, I remember the riots that went on in 2020, and they can drive down the road in their city and still see the burnt down car dealerships or stores and remember all the looting that took place and the police officers that were attacked. So I don't think this is about campaigns. I think this is about real events and what happened to the American people here in our country. Yes, sir.
One question for you and one question for Judge Foreman. The D.C. Circuit, this is for you, the D.C. Circuit already ruled that most January 6th defendants should be released. But those who, quote, actually assaulted police officers, broke through windows, doors, and barricades, and those who aided, conspired to plan or coordinate such actions are in a different category of dangerousness than those who cheered on the violence or entered the Capitol after others cleared the way. Most defendants who are facing charges from January 6th have been released. Why are you choosing to single out these defendants who multiple courts have already found are in a different category of dangerousness as people who should be released and who are being treated unfairly when you say they shouldn't be detained at all, but the judges have found differently. Isn't your beef with them?
I think there's a big political bias playing in the courts here in Washington, D.C., especially with the public defenders. The January 6th defendants that I spoke to and asked questions to in the jail said that if they have a public defender, they said their public defenders hate them. And they're being represented because they're poor and they can't afford to pay a lawyer, and they're being represented by public defenders that call them white supremacists, tell them they have to denounce President Trump, tell them they have to denounce their political views, want them to watch videos and read books that basically is critical race theory training in order for them to have this public defender represent them on about the D.C. jail and our findings there. Unusually cruel. That's the title that we gave this report, because this is the treatment that we found of the pretrial January 6th defendants being held right here in Washington, D.C. in the jail. Now, I will tell you, along with my colleagues here, which I'm very grateful to serve with them, we had been trying many times to get into the jail to take a tour. And we're used to doing that as members of Congress. We're used to touring facilities, and it's never been a problem. As a matter of fact, normally we're welcome. But we were denied entrance by Deputy Warden Landerkin multiple times. As a matter of fact, she'd locked us out before. And it was clear that there was a lot to hide. Right now, what we have happening in America is a two-tier justice system. Let's all take a little trip down memory lane, shall we? In the summer of 2020, there has been an estimated number somewhere around 7,750 to over 10,000 BLM demonstrations. According to the press, approximately 6% of them were violent. That's 570 riots if you do the math there. But here's the deal. There was only one riot that took place here in Congress at the Capitol on January 6th. But what we have seen unfold has been unbelievable. It is a two-tier justice system. So we know that approximately 90% and more of Antifa BLM rioters have been released from jail. Their charges have been dropped. We know that in cities across America, there have been over $2 billion in damage. But here at the Capitol on January 6th, it's approximately $1.5 million. There's a clear difference. But yet we have a January 6th committee that Nancy Pelosi is leading that is nothing but a political witch hunt on Republicans and Trump supporters all across America and anyone that was at the Capitol on January 6th. What's happening to these people being held in custody is wrong. It's unconstitutional. It's a violation of their rights. And it is an abuse that I call on every single member of Congress to start paying attention to. We need investigations. It's outrageous. The American people are purely upset, disgusted, and cannot believe this is happening in our country. And I think all of us should be appalled. You see, this jail in Washington, D.C. has been known. It's had many reports of being a despicable place as early as 1976. U.S. District Court Judge William Bryant ruled the conditions inside the jail violated the Eighth Amendment's ban on cruel and unusual punishment. In 2015, a report filed showed the jail was plagued by mold, vermin, and water leaks. 2016, the jail had to move 200 inmates because of excessive heat. In November 2021, the Marshal Service found the CDF to be inhospitable, but yet people are still being housed there. But the January 6th defendants are being treated differently on a whole nother level. They have been beaten by the guards. They are called white supremacists. They are denied religious services, haircuts, shaving, the ability to trim their fingernails. There's more outrageous things happening there. They're denied time with their attorneys. They are denied the ability to even see their families and have their families visit there. They're denied bail and being held there without bail. Many of these people have never been charged for a crime before. Some of them are veterans, and the treatment is unbelievable. They are told they have to denounce President Trump. They are told that their views are the views of cult members, even though these are men that every single night at 9 o'clock at night, they put their hand over their heart and sing the national anthem voluntarily. Imagine a group of men being held in jail with no idea of when they're going to go to court, no ability to bail out, no ability to see their family, being mistreated and abused worse than we treat terrorists at Gitmo. Yet they have their hand over their heart every night at 9 o'clock and sing the national anthem. That's something I don't think any of us can fathom. While they're being persecuted by the very government that has the American flag over our buildings. This is completely wrong. Whether we agree, disagree, and I can tell you right now, I completely disagree and am very against the violence that happened on January 6th at the Capitol. We should all disagree with how these people are being treated. This is completely unacceptable, and as Americans, this should go beyond political boundaries, and we should all come together and declare that this is wrong and call for it to stop. We never want to have those in power to be able to weld their power against people they politically disagree with, especially in a time where we saw political riots all over the country, and the people that committed those riots, not only most of them have been let off of their charges, but many of them were never mistreated like this. I also want to explain something to you all. The Democrat platform, Act Blue, raised money for BLM, a lot of money. And BLM brought in millions and millions of dollars. But it was BLM violence and riots that were out of control. Many of these were peaceful demonstrations, but the riots that got out of control, those were assaults and violence on private property and private citizens. But yet here we see nothing day in and everything, day in and day out in the news. It's all about the Capitol riot. Congress only cares about itself. It clearly demonstrates to the American people. It does not care about your business that got burned down. It doesn't care about the job you lost. Congress doesn't care about your city or community that was devastated by violence. They don't care about you taxpayers that have to pay to fix and mend, and they don't care about the person that assaulted you, looted your store, or hurt you in this violence. They don't care about any of that. They only care about themselves. And they're willing to use the Department of Justice, the FBI, the prisons, the jails, the guards, and any means possible to make sure that you never mess with them again. This is wrong. It's unusually cruel. Now I'd like to hand over this time to Congressman Gohmert. Congressman Gohmert was the other only member of Congress that was able to tour the jail with me that day because I was only given a little over 15 minutes notice in time to get there that I was going to be allowed to get in. So at this time, I'd like for you to hear from Congressman Gohmert. Thank you.